Tomorrow is October 7th. Now, that is a big day for the situation that started taking place in Israel just a few years back. But what is planned for tomorrow in the States, in the United States? Wait till you hear what the people that have come here, who have not assimilated, who is part of this religion that has caused the problems worldwide, especially in the Middle East, how dangerous it's becoming. We're going to talk about what the plan is for October 7th and the Islamic State here in America. What is going on and why are we allowing these people into our country? This is prime example of why this quote-unquote melting pot or this diverse situation that we have going on is absolutely not for our best. Wait till you hear this story. And also it leads right to what a Muslim said that Mamdani is doing. There's a certain word for it. He said, it allows for us to have falsities and actually tell lies in the name of Allah. Wait till you hear this story. Very, very disturbing. And again, it shows where we're at in our nation if we allow this to keep on taking place. So what's going to take place October 7th? Hopefully nothing, but something we need to pay attention to. Also, we see the civil disobedience going on and the fact of the craziness in the cities. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. But then there was another release talking about the SIM card thing that we've discussed over the last few days. There was a lady that said, who's in intelligence, said this is World War III. It's just not kinetic yet. Meaning we don't know when the next spark will actually happen, but we do know with China's infiltration of the chance to take down our grid or at least telecommunications, this could destroy everything that America has built. We're going to talk about that and where we at when it comes to crisis prep. There's a story that was done by Wall Street Journal and also several other entities on mainstream saying that people are starting to prep more, from islands dealing with tsunamis, also people that live close to the seas because of all the crazy weathers. He said, but there's another story that was ran that said it's not just for the islands and not just for the people that are close to the water. He said people are actually starting to crisis prep because of the news stories they're getting in their feed just about every day in social media. We're going to talk about the dangers of the grid shutdown, the telecommunications shutdown. The more people that do crisis prepping or survival prepping, that is a good thing. So we will not be just dependent on the government to fix it for us. The last story we're going to talk about is AI. How the dangers are so close upon us. Most people dealing with the Silicon Valley magnates all agree that AI absolutely will bring in something kind of like a biblical antichrist. But they said if we don't go for it, then China will overtake us and surpass us. So we're messing with this evil that everybody believes it's evil, but they're saying we've got to embrace it. Wait till you hear some of these stories on AI and how it's so close to satanic, demonic possession. It's just real strange. Let's dive into all these stories today. This video starts right now. Man, what a crazy intro. All the things going on. It's absolutely crazy. Welcome to the Max. Thank you so much for being here. We were going to film on the farm, but it started absolutely flooding, which is a good thing. We need the rain, but it puts us in the truck today. So hopefully the audio is okay, the video is okay as well. But we thank you and humbly ask that you, if you like the content, give us a thumbs up. It means the world to us and helps us spread our message across this platform. Now let's jump into the stories of the day. First, let's talk about this October 7th thing. You know, October 7th, of course, was one of the worst days in Israel's history. If you compare it to our numbers, it would be almost like a 9/11. So it's a pretty big deal. Now, we're talking about peace negotiations. We're talking about all this stuff that is hopefully going to get better. But what we see is, even though we want it better, does the other side want it better? Does the evil in the world actually want it to be better? Let's listen to what Lauren Loomer just shared on October 7th for tomorrow. It says Muslims in the New York City area will be taking to the streets on October 7th to celebrate the 2-year anniversary of October 7th and the terror attack that went against Israel. This protest is being organized with Within Our Lifetime Palestinian Movement, a pro-Islamic terror group founded by a guy that's able to be in America with no problem. Zohra Mamdani, listen to this, often attends this event and has even spoken at these events that honors her. She has endorsed his campaign for mayor of New York City. Now, we're going to talk about Mamdani in just a little bit, but let's keep on going with the story. It says, New York City is about to see jihadi Muslim mayor who supports Islamic domestic terror groups, and the founder of this group has avidly supported the destruction of Israel. and also the destruction of America. Now, we showed you a video a few days ago, and we talked about it really the last few days, where in Dearborn they were doing a Death to America chant. Again, in honor of this October 7th event and in honor of Hamas. Now, why are we allowing this to take place on our grounds? And again, you remember, Muslim clerics say that they often tend to side with the left, even though the left is absolutely lost and befuddled when it comes to what Muslims believe. Like, everything that the left stands for would be against what Muslims stand for, and most of them would actually not be able to live in their own countries. It's crazy. But they said they're easily manipulated. Well, we see this right now, and I told you yesterday how we see at these ICE events, you're seeing pro-Palestine flags that has nothing to do with this immigration situation that's going on that Trump has pushed to deport people that's not supposed to be in our country. But they're so easily manipulated that the Muslims are absolutely able to really commandeer the leftist movement and ideology. That's why you see all these white anarcho-terrorists that are part of Antifa that is now joined ranks with the pro-Palestine movement, and they're all waving these Palestinian flags. And they will be in New York City tomorrow protesting Israel in support of terror. Do you hear what I'm saying? It's sad that there's a lot of people that doesn't support Israel. Okay, you have your opinion to not support Israel. That's fine. But to then support and honor the terror, that's unbelievable. That's almost like the TDS thing, where you have such a Trump derangement that you're willing to stand with criminals just so you don't have to say Trump's doing a good job. It's the same way. It's like Candace Owens and all these right-wing influencers that are saying, well, they hate Israel so much that they're willing to sympathize with Hamas. It makes no sense to me. And this is a problem we're seeing across the West, especially in America. If we do not start cracking down on this, we're going to become like what UK and Great Britain is, and we're going to be overrun with this problem. We're having children 1 to 2 on average for Americans that are Native Americans, meaning people like us that were born here, live here. We're not having as many children as we need. However, the Muslim population is having 6 to 8. So we're going to automatically switch and become the minority. And to be honest with you, like UK is seeing, you're going to start seeing the Muslims take over definitely parts of the West, and America is not far behind. So why are we allowing for these people to march on the streets? Why are we allowing them to be over our city councils? Why are we allowing them to be the mayors and leaders of our states when they are wanting and hoping to see death to America and death to Israel? This makes no sense to me, and why this is a partisan issue. If you love America, either whatever side you're on, you should not want people to want death to America. That makes no sense to me. That is such a foolish thought that you have Democrats who are willing to side with these protesters and willing to side with the march tomorrow in the New York City area for October 7th. Now that leads me right to this story that was shared, and this guy was either Muslim or coming out of the Muslim faith, but I want you to listen to what he says. This was kind of really crazy when you think of Mamdani and what he's done. He's called himself a Democrat socialist, but more than that, he is a Muslim. He actually has been on camera saying that he wants to bring more Muslims into leadership into New York City. He tries to push away from that, but this may be why. Listen to what this guy says. It's really unique. It says, man explains how Mamdani is practicing taqiyya. Now it's T-A-Q-I-Y-Y-A. I may be saying that wrong, but listen to what he says. He says, it's meant to deceive New Yorkers into voting for him. Taqiyya, in a nutshell, is the practice of lying and concealing one's true belief to advance the cause of Islam. So it basically gives them a right to, in the name of their religion, to lie and deceive and ultimately give the credence to Muslim faith. It says it gives permission to bend the truth, hide one's real identity, and mask true intentions, there you go, and objectives, to protect all Islam's images and promote expansion. The Muslims are laughing at you guys. This is him telling the Americans. The Muslims are laughing at you guys. Give it 50 years and the entire New York's state, along with the city, will be Muslim. Then before you know it, you're going to see Sharia courts all around America. You see this already in Europe. It's happening right now. And you are so foolish that you're allowing it to happen here in America. I blame this solely on the establishment, but also the left of this whole analogy. We're seeing the fall of humanity, fall of America, based on this religion. If you think biblically, think biblically now. You go back to the Abrahamic covenant, and you go back to, Abraham and Sarah, and they thought God was not going to give them the promise with Isaac. So they didn't know that, so they brought in, Hagar, and you had Ishmael, and now you have Ishmael and Isaac both. And from that point, war started between the brothers. That war is still going on today. It's amazing how all this is such spiritual and biblical perspectives of the wars that we're facing right now. They're spiritual battles, guys. And if we don't hunker down and hold on to this, October 7th is just one thing. It's going to be a lot more than that because we're allowing these people to infiltrate America with no problem. Why are we doing this? Help me understand this. And then for the judges and the left to then push against Trump to try to get these people out of here, they want these people to stay. What did I say? They want chaos because it brings in control. Pay attention to the story. This is getting bigger and bigger because we're allowing for people to lead us and to allow for them to support and influence people that sympathize with terror. And then we want them to then be over us in a political aspect, like Mamdani. You think it's bad now? Wait till that same Mamdani or someone like him runs for governor, runs for some other state, runs for your state, or runs for president. It's happening. It's going to happen, especially on the left. You watch. It may not happen next year, may not happen the next year, but within the next 10 to 15 years, you're going to see a complete different control of America. And you may not even remember me by then, but I promise you, you'll look back and say, you know what? We've been warned and warned and warned. This is not the way. And guess what? We're allowing it to still happen because we're putting Muslims in leadership, which ultimately does not want peace. They want to take over. It's all in their doctrine. And this word taqiyya that Mamdani may be doing, and this other Muslim saying, you dummies, you're allowing this to take place right before your very eyes. Now, we're facing that front internally. We're facing that front. There's a story that just came out that said people are trying to crisis prep more because of the dangers that they face dealing with all the wars that are going on and all the instability in our cities. Now, I do believe Trump is doing well, but I told you this years ago. I said, when someone comes into power to want to fix it, he's going to have to go through the turmoil and the conflicts because it's been going wrong so long that to fix it, you've got to break the system to then turn around and build it back up. That's how it works. So we're going to see this. And so now people are starting to realize that, and that people are starting to wake up. They're starting to crisis prep. Well, prime example, look at this Chinese sim thing. There's a lady that served in the intelligence. She's a former intelligence officer. She said, World War III has begun. She said, it has begun. She shared the story with the SIM cards and the Chinese trying to tap into our telecommunications and to destroy it. Not only to where all the world leaders were in the UN, but to cause a problem and a ripple effect across all America, where people in the grid where the grid of America and the telecommunications of America would be destabilized to a point where people would panic. She said, what we're seeing is we're in World War III with Russia, with China, with the big players. North Korea is picking on South Korea. Iran still is trying to rebuild. You're going to see more of that. She said it just hasn't become kinetic yet. It hasn't hit us yet, as in true attack. She said it may not. She said they may use AI. They may use other cyber attacks. But if they could have went through with this attack, if China could have actually went through with this attack, she said, do you realize how debilitating it would have been for America, especially in the cities like New York City? He said it would put millions of people without ways of communication. And she said, you don't understand this. Everything is networked. She said public transit's networked. She said every part of your life is networked. So she said things like the grid. The grid is ran off wireless capabilities and networking. She said it would have destroyed it. So when we go back to the story of everybody saying they're starting to prep, this is a good thing. It's a good thing that people are starting to wake up to the crises that we're facing. Sadly, the people that need to wake up is the people in the cities, the people that are liberals that need to wake up, and they're not waking up. So as conservatives, we're trying to say, look at the stories. It's not about fear. It's about being prepared. I think of James 1:5 all the time in the Bible. It says, if we pray and we seek wisdom and we ask God for wisdom, He will bless it abundantly. I do believe that. Now, wisdom comes in a lot of different facets, but the thing that I look for the most is when we see the world problems going on internally and externally, the grid problems, the telecommunications problems, the problems with China, the problems with the left and the Muslims here in America. There's a lot. So every week I'm looking for ways that I can get better when it comes to prepping. If it's planning something, if it's growing something, if it's buying something new, if it's trying to figure out how to build my skills better, it's all about learning. And I love that people are starting to get on board with this. But don't ever lax and think that things are going to get better. One day, we may wake up and realize, man, our cell phones are not working today. Man, the lights are not flipped. Maybe it's just a power out. Maybe maybe the grid went down just for a day because of the storm. Maybe there's a hurricane. We tend to blow it off like, oh, well, anything can happen, and all of a sudden it'll come back on. What if things don't get better for a while? What if we do see our grid just go down? What if we didn't stop that SIM card cyber attack the other day? Did you know mostly all the main world leaders that are upon our side were in the UN building? Do you think how much chaos that would be? How would they get those leaders out safely? And when all the turmoil of millions of people is running to the streets because they have no power or have no grid or have no cell phone communications. Big deal. I love the fact that people are prepping. It does make people wake up, but we need to focus that there's a lot of people not doing that. So that means you need to prepare even more. Remember, I don't want to prepare to then allow someone to take it. I want to prepare and also defend it. We have to be wise and start seeking guidance, because this is, like I told you, I think we're seeing spiritual things happening, which will ultimately cause for tough times. It's going to get worse before it gets better, guys, and we need to pay attention to those stories. This intelligence lady saying that, hey, you know what? I do believe we are seeing World War III. It just hasn't actually went kinetic yet. It hasn't actually seen the dangers of maybe a drone attack here. You're starting to see more of that. What if it's AI? Listen to this story with AI. I want you to just pay attention. OpenAI just turned around and invested in AMD. OpenAI has a great relationship with NVIDIA. OpenAI is having a great relationship with most Silicon Valley magnates. Now, there was a Silicon Valley magnate that was just anonymously filmed online, and this gentleman said, AI is going to be the most dangerous thing that we've ever dealt with. Said that if we see this keep on going, it could cause for catastrophic events to take place, and for Americans, and more than that, people in general in the world, to lose power to AI. And so the interviewer asked this person, said, well, then why is Silicon Valley and America pushing so hard for AI and letting this be the next great revolution? And their words were this: because if we don't, someone else will, and then they will use it against us. The purpose is to try to gain our own access to AI and artificial intelligence so we can become the power over it. But this gentleman said, sadly, we won't be the power over it. You know, Peter Thiel has compared AI to the Antichrist. Elon Musk has said that AI, even though it can bring a lot of good, it is going to be pure evil, and it could rule over us one day. There was another Silicon magnate that's tied to the occult that they talked about yesterday, Nick Long, on Tucker Carlson's podcast. It doesn't matter if you believe it or not. There's a lot of evil in this world. And do we believe AI can be used for good? Yes. But just like everything else in the world, when men get this kind of power, they tend to gain responsibility, but that responsibility is going to either be two ways: humble and humility to say we want to serve the people, or power and control, which is what most people end up doing. They end up taking power. If all of a sudden we have mass layoffs because of AI, all of a sudden we can't do anything without being surveilled because of AI, all of a sudden we realize that the cyber attacks, the grid problems, the fact of control is all based on AI, then we're facing a front with this Muslim assimilation. We're facing the front of the left backing Antifa and destroying chaos. We're now facing the fact of China and other big players that are causing problems for us. And now we're seeing AI, the one that we're developing, is going to be the last nail in the coffin. It's kind of crazy to think like that, isn't it? Now, the point is not to make you fear, and the point is not to let you just say, well, it's all over. It's not. There's a few things that we can do. First of all, just like we were talking about crisis prepping, it's a good thing to do is to be prepared. I want to be prepared. I have old vehicles. You're literally sitting in a 1997 Dodge. This vehicle is almost literally 30 years old. But the purpose is this. Why? We've revamped it. We've reworked it. The point is to have vehicles like this, and like the Hummer that you see kind of on the far side. Again, an 87 Hummer. The point is to have vehicles that could not have to worry about so much electronics. Also, we talk about food prepping, water prepping, making sure we're growing crops. All those things are beneficial to you to give you the independence and sustainability. Because remember, there's a new story that said that stablecoin and that cryptocurrencies are jumping up and it's making the dollar fall. It's happening right before your eyes where, guess what? What's next? Mass layoffs and then the loss of the dollar? Those two things are going to happen within the next 5 to 10 years, if not sooner. Gold is skyrocketing, silver skyrocketing. That's great, but they're still trying to push to crypto. Why? Because they know gold and silver still gives you independence, and stablecoins gives them control and you dependence. These things are happening right before our eyes. Now, I want to focus on one thing. This is a spiritual battle. Every one of these situations I've told you is dealing with good versus evil. Now, you may not like Trump, or you may not like certain conservatives, you may not like these things. However, the other side absolutely hates good things. The Islamic faith hates Christianity, hates people that are wanting freedom. It's true. Look at every Middle Eastern country. None of them actually have freedom. Most of them are very, very dangerous with Sharia law. And again, it's amazing that the left backs them. It shows how foolish some of these people are. But we have a chance to fix a lot of this. Now, in spiritual times, we know in end times, the world will go into chaos. We know that. But there's also times of great awakening and revival. We could be on the cusp of it. Charlie Kirk, I believe, started that. But the thing is, are we doing anything to help that movement? Are we trying to profess Christ? Are we trying to live a smart, independent, freedom-oriented life and bring honor to Christ? Well, I told you, praying James 1:5 about seeking wisdom and getting it abundantly. If we truly seek God, we can have peace through all these storms. It's kind of like this. Remember when the disciples were in the boats and the storms were going off, but Jesus was just sleeping, and they woke him up all in frantic, and the storm didn't bother him. He calmed them. I think of that too in my life. No matter how many storms we have going on, if we put our hope and faith in Christ and we seek wisdom and we prep, He gives us knowledge to be smart with the things that we're doing, then it will all be okay. October 7th is a big deal. Tomorrow they're literally marching for terror in our streets. That's not allowing for freedom to take place. That's allowing for hatred of America to be on blast. And I don't believe that benefits anybody. Pay attention to these stories. Let's focus on being better, more prepared, more independent, and definitely more spiritual. Guys, thank you so much for watching. God bless.
With me. Oh, come on and let's go. Let's be free. With me. Yeah. Be free.